Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this because we've got a lot of ground to cover. Today, we are cracking the absolute ultimate code of Cambridge Accounting 9706. Specifically, we are running a high-intensity masterclass on the Statement of Profit or Loss and Appropriation Account for partnership financial statements. Now, if you are sitting there aiming for top marks, you know you cannot afford to just guess what the examiner wants. You need a playbook. I'm your master coach, and having spent years looking strictly through the examiner's lens, reading those incredibly detailed examiner reports, I know exactly where candidates bleed marks and exactly how you can secure them. We are talking about dissecting complex questions, mastering your time allocation, and deploying elite critical thinking strategies. Let's get to work. I want you to look at the sheer weight of the number on your screen. 15%. That is the massive high-stakes prize we are dealing with today. Partnership financial statements, particularly the appropriation account, make up approximately 15% of the total marks in Paper 2. We're talking about those complex, high-tariff questions that sit right in the 9 to 15 mark range. This isn't just some minor subtopic you can skim over the night before. This is a foundational pillar of your entire exam. Mastering this single area gives you a massive, immediate advantage over the rest of the candidates. When you lock down this 15%, you literally change your grade boundary. To secure those marks, we need a highly logical mental map. I don't want you going into the exam room blind. Here is our exact tactical agenda for this session. First, the 15% prize. Second, the 3 core cognitive domains. Third, a strict 6-step methodology for processing data. Fourth, evaluating evidence and analysis. And finally, the top 3 examiner warnings. Keep this roadmap in your head. Okay, Section 1, the 15% prize, conceptual foundations. This is where we break down the anatomy of what's actually being asked of you. Before we even think about crunching numbers, we have to talk about command words. Examiners use specific command words to trigger entirely different cognitive responses, and missing this is where the disaster starts. You have to deeply contrast analyze versus evaluate and explain versus to what extent. If the prompt says analyze, they want you to break down the partnership's financial mechanics. But if it says evaluate, they want a judgment. They want you to weigh the pros and cons of, say, admitting a new partner. You have to isolate that command word, lock onto the content knowledge required, and spot the hidden constraints of the prompt. Let me introduce you to 2 scholars from my digital study suite. We'll call them Alex and Sam. Alex is highly technical, absolutely excels at formulas and facts, but struggles when a question gets open-ended. Sam, on the other hand, is a super creative thinker, great at building arguments, but really struggles with structural precision and timing. I gave them both an incredibly complex partnership scenario with unique profit-sharing ratios and salaries they had never seen before. Alex tried to rely on rote memorization and totally froze. Why? Because examiners aren't looking for textbook memory. They demand a connected, conceptual understanding that is completely transferable to unfamiliar contexts. If you memorize blindly, you fail. If you understand conceptually, you adapt to any curveball. Let's move to Section 2, the 3 core cognitive domains, the assessment rubric. You need to know the exact criteria you are being measured against. It's like knowing the rules of the game before you step onto the field. You aren't just graded on getting the final math right. You are graded against 3 core assessment objectives: knowledge and understanding, analysis, and evaluation, often referred to as AO1, AO2, and AO3. Now, in our study session, Alex and Sam had a massive debate about this. Alex was pushing for a purely factual approach to the essay layout, saying, "Coach, if I just show them I know where interest on drawings goes, I'll get the marks." That's AO1 and a bit of AO2. But Sam argued for a broader perspective. No, Alex, the prompt is asking us to evaluate the impact. We need to argue whether the new salary structure is actually fair to the original partners. And honestly, Sam was hitting closer to the truth for those top-tier marking bands. To unlock the highest grades, you must demonstrate competence across all 3 domains. Evaluation is where the elite students separate themselves. Here is where I had to intervene in Alex and Sam's debate. The academic framework heavily prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. What does that actually mean for your answer layout? It means the examiners would much rather see you take a few key partnership adjustments, let's say a change in the profit-sharing ratio halfway through the financial year, and work through them with deep, logical, structured reasoning. Don't just shallowly list out a dozen disconnected facts about partnerships. Alex wanted to list every rule under the sun. Sam wanted to generalize. I told them both, depth wins the marks. Pick the most impactful financial changes in the prompt and trace them all the way through to their logical conclusion. All right, Section 3, the 6-step methodology, systematic processing. Now, right before we dive into this ultimate problem-solving framework, I want to pause our session for just a quick second. If you are serious about crushing your Cambridge exams and you want to consistently unlock these top-tier strategies, you need to subscribe to the channel Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A levels. That's at acetheexam_IGCSE. Hit that subscribe button right now and enable all notifications so you never miss a weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategy. We are dropping insider examiner secrets just like this every single week, and you don't want to be left behind. Okay, let's get back to the methodology. So, how do we guarantee that analytical depth? We pivot from academic theory to actionable practice. Back in the digital suite, Alex and Sam were actively drafting a model response paragraph by paragraph on screen, but they hit a massive roadblock regarding timing and linking their paragraphs. I used my picture-in-picture to pause them and step in. I told them, when you feel overwhelmed by a massive data set on exam day, you deploy this exact sequence. Step 1, deconstruct the question. Do the 3-step question scan to find the command word and constraints. Step 2, extract relevant data. Step 3, select your analytical framework, which is your appropriation account here. Step 4, execute with clear notation. Step 5, verify your results. And Step 6, present with correct terminology. Alex and Sam were completely stuck on a messy calculation paragraph. We rewrote the flawed section out loud, together. We transitioned their messy, panicked draft into a flawless, full-mark response just by forcing it through these 6 steps. It turns a chaotic 15-mark problem into a totally manageable checklist. Moving on to Section 4. Evaluating evidence and analysis, drawing conclusions. I want to turn this into an interactive workshop for you right now. I'm going to address you directly because this is where the magic happens. Let's start visual question 1 of our workshop, data analysis. I want you to imagine a complex graph on the screen showing the capital account balances of 2 partners over 5 years, with a 60-second visual countdown timer ticking down in the corner. Go. As you look at that data, what do you see? True comparative analysis requires identifying similarities and differences. You literally cannot just argue one side. If the question asks you to evaluate a proposed change to a partnership agreement, you have to use comparative connectives like however, conversely, or on the other hand. You have to support every single comparison with hard evidence from those financial statements and then ultimately draw a conclusion about relative importance. You must show the examiner you are weighing both sides of the scale. Okay, scene 2 of our workshop, Spot the Flaw. I want you to look at a poorly written student answer. The student wrote, "The new partnership agreement is better because profits went up." Can you spot the error? It's superficial. A fantastic way to demonstrate high-level evaluative thinking is by asking one simple question. What assumptions were made? The student assumed profits went up because of the agreement, totally ignoring market conditions or capital injections. Top-scoring candidates evaluate the quality of the evidence by identifying limitations like that. How does the assumption that profits accrue evenly throughout the year affect your conclusion if the partnership changed its terms in month 6? You must question assumptions and justify your decisions to max out your evaluation marks. We are heading into the home stretch with Section 5, the top 3 examiner warnings, avoiding the traps. We have systematically scoured the principal examiner reports, and I'm going to reveal the exact specific traps that examiners set and where candidates consistently bleed marks. Here is mistake number 1, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. Let me tell you, this is a classic trap. Students rush in, they see the word partnership in the first sentence, and they immediately start blindly applying principles without properly reading the specific context of the stimulus material. Does the agreement actually specify interest on capital? If it doesn't, do not include it. You are penalizing yourself by adding phantom data. You absolutely must adapt your approach to the exact rules outlined in that specific prompt. Mistake number 2, ignoring format and presentation. This is something Sam struggled with immensely. Sam had all the right arguments, but the paper looked like a chaotic scratch pad. Let me be crystal clear here. Formatting is not just for aesthetics. In accounting and especially in financial statements, formatting is communication. If you present an appropriation account that has no clear headings, missing terminology, and a disjointed flow, you will lose marks, period. Proper presentation is directly mandated by the syllabus. Don't let sloppy formatting damage a brilliant analysis. And mistake number 3, answers that are not specific to the context given. Generic textbook answers will fail every single time in the evaluation sections.
If the examiner asks you to analyze why a specific partner's current account is in a massive deficit, you cannot just list general reasons you memorized from Chapter 4. You need to use the paragraph balance formula. Every response must be hyper-specific to the financial data, the exact profit-sharing ratio, and the narrative provided in that specific question. Anchor your answer to the data.
All right, Section 6, this is it, the golden rule, the method mark strategy. If you remember absolutely nothing else from this explainer, you need to brand this next concept into your brain. Show your workings. I cannot stress this enough. Examiners are explicitly, passionately clear about this in their reports. Listen, let's be real, exam pressure is intense. You can make a terrible, panicked arithmetic error in the first 2 minutes of the exam, which completely throws off your final residual profit figure. But, and this is a massive but, if you clearly show the examiner your analytical execution and your process, method marks can absolutely save your grade. Marks are awarded for the methodology, not just the final number. If you just write down a wrong final answer, you get a flat 0. But if you show the correct methodological steps to arrive at that wrong answer, you salvage vital grade-saving marks. Never, ever leave your workings in your head. Never leave them on scratch paper. Put them on the page. Use the last 5 minutes review checklist to ensure every calculation has a visible trail. Let's synthesize this entire masterclass. After our session, Alex and Sam had massive personal breakthroughs. Alex realized that facts need an evaluation argument, and Sam realized that arguments need structural precision. Here are the 3 core memorable pillars to encode into your strategy today. Number 1, master the 6-step methodology and the 3-step question scan for systematic processing. Number 2, when evaluating, use the paragraph balance formula to analyze similarities and differences, hitting those high cognitive domains. And number 3, always show your workings using the last 5 minutes review checklist to capture every possible method mark. So I leave you with this final provocative question. Are you ready to claim your 15%? The framework is yours, the insider secrets are yours, but execution is absolutely everything. On exam day, will you let a single panicked calculation cost you your grade? Or will you trust this methodology to secure your marks? Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, elite strategy. Do not do this alone. Hit that subscribe button right now for Ace the Exams, IGCSE, OA, and A levels at acetheexam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell so you get all our future exam hacks, and leave a comment below with your exact target grade so we can hold you accountable. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Step into that exam room with absolute strategic confidence, and I will see you next time.